Hello, my friends. My name is Barry Marino, and this is my very first video blog. Yeah, I'm going to start doing a few of these things. Well, maybe once, twice, 3 times a month or so that I can talk to you about some of the things that I enjoy, the things that I like, the things that I feel passionate about, things that I feel strongly about, and just things that I feel are fun. So what we're going to do is I'm really just learning how to use this thing, and I'm trying to learn how to look into the camera instead of looking the other way. So it's may take a little time, might look a little weird at first. Anyway, only thing I am going to ask is that everyone refrain from mean comments and mean statements. It's unnecessary, and it doesn't. Yes, I just want everybody to sort of refrain from mean talk. It's not necessary. It's not nice. Let's just keep it nice, keep it clean if we can. I know politics, people feel strongly about it and everything, but we'll keep it pretty clean. Well, now very first I want to talk about the audio book I just finished listening to. It's a book that I had read back in 2000, and I listened to the audio book. I like to listen to them in my car sometimes, That's entertaining, just like being told the story keeps you, and it seems to make me focus on my driving better. Well, anyway, this book is called The Last Madam, and it's by Chris Wiltz. And I am from New Orleans. I live in New Orleans, and this is a nonfiction story of the last owner of the very last brothel in the French Quarter. Her name was Norma Wallace. Now, Norma Wallace was a lady who was born into poverty, and when she grew up, she came into the business of prostitution. Back in those days, she was born in 1901. So back in her time, women either became wives, teachers, nurses, secretaries, or hookers. And the hookers were the most lucrative job. So Norma found out after she had worked in a brothel in Storyville. Since she was born in 1901 and Storyville closed in 1917 when she was only 16 years old. It's likely she probably still working in one of the brothels at the age of 13. It's when a lot of those girls started that. So she worked at the brothel in Storyville, the red light district. It came between 1897 and 1917, a 20-year period. So Norma worked there, and then she found out that, she figured that if she ran the place, she had more of a knack for the management than she did for the actual job. So she wound up opening the small establishments all over the quarter, until in 1938 she bought a house at 1026 Conti Street. It was on the edge of the quarter in a neighborhood called the Tango Belt. And she bought this house with the help of the boxer Pete Herman, who was also her second husband. Norma was married, I believe it was 4 times. One time to Pete Herman, and her last husband was a man named Wayne Bernard, who was 39 years younger. Well, that was her heyday in that house on Conti Street. The house on Conti Street was a character all of its own. She even had a little secret wall where she used to hide everybody if the police came around, and she always knew when they were coming because they had to drive up this big old long driveway on the side of the house in the alley. So she'd see them coming all the time. And she also had another method of finding out how they were, whether her house was going to get raided or not. She would go to this little restaurant called the Meal a Minute, where she knew all the cops had breakfast or lunch or dinner. And she'd dress like a little old lady, and she'd walk over there. It was like right around the corner from her house. And she'd walk over there, and she would sit, and she'd listen. She'd listen to what they had to say. And she would find out. She heard them say, "Oh, we hit Norma Wallace's house today." She'd hurry home, get everything prepared, Police would come. Miss Wallace, we have a warrant to search the premises. Oh, yes, go right ahead, honey. Go ahead. They find nothing. They say thank you. She says, oh, sit down, have a piece of pie. I just went to Mackenzie's and got a lemon pie. She loved lemon pie because when she was a kid, they couldn't afford one. So she always had a lemon pie in her house. So they would sit there and they would wind up telling her more. That's something else, huh? Well, she ran this house until 1962. When started in the late 50s, they get the new DA, Jim Garrison. You guys remember him from the movie JFK. Kevin Costner played him. Looked nothing like him, talked nothing like him, accent completely wrong. I'm going to get on this accent thing in a minute. So Garrison was a hypocrite. He would raid places. He'd go into the brothels and screw these girls, and then he'd raid the place. He was. And his police chief, Joe DeRusso, was kind of a sleaze, too. Oh, there's another story I have to tell, too, about Norma. There was this one police chief that used to bring this tiny little cop. Yeah, tiny man. And he would pick him up and walk in because the guy could get in cracks and crevices and find things. And still never found anything. But when I read about this, all I could think of was, Little Sweet! And the Diet Dr. Pepper commercial. So anyway, back to Norma and Jim Garrison. Eventually, Norma got tired of dealing with the cops and everything, and she said, screw this, I'm out. So she moves to Wagman, very, very bored. She winds up deciding to turn her house in Wagman into a restaurant called the Chapatoulas Plantation, which was successful for a little while, but she was the restaurant business. I don't know if she was really made for that. It's so much work. It's so hard. It's so grueling, and it takes a lot of your time and a lot of your energy. At this time, she married Wayne Bedard, who was 39 years her junior. She actually met him when she seduced him when he was a teenager. She was his neighbor. She was the original Mrs. Robinson. She was the original cougar, this woman. So anyway, she and Wayne ran the restaurant, the Chapatoulas Plantation. She's like the whole court when the customers came in, because her notoriety is what really brought the business. But she got tired of that eventually after she went home and she got robbed, and her spirit was just... So she went. So she sold the restaurant, and then went to live first in Poplarville, Mississippi, then in Bush, Louisiana, where she literally lived in the woods. And this was not good for a lady who had been so vivacious and lived in New Orleans all her life. Wayne was starting to get tired of being married to such an older woman, and he had decided that he wanted pretty much out, and little by little he was distancing himself. So Norma was getting sick. She was old. She was not dealing so much with old age very well. She was not dealing with the illnesses that old age brings. So she eventually just got a gun and shot herself. A sad ending to a pretty neat lady. She is the only brothel owner to ever be given the key to the city. She had movie stars like Marjorie Redbone and John Wayne come to her brothel. She one time asked if there was any important man who was not in her pocket, and they told her, and she said yes, the President Eisenhower. Probably couldn't say the same thing about President Kennedy, and we know if she was around during President Clinton's time. Oh, heaven forbid. So anyway, the book came out in 2000, written by Christine Wiltz, which is really good. It's written a lot in novel form. You're reading it, and you almost think you're reading a novel. But it's very good. She captures Norman's personality perfectly, and she just loves the. She just gets the feel. You feel like you're back in the quarter. in the 1930s, in the mid 20th century French Quarter, which doesn't even exist today. Today it's just a big tourist haven. So, anyway, the audiobook. The audiobook was very well done, very well read, but I have one problem with the lady who read it. The accent thing. They even mention in the book that Norma didn't have the traditional Southern accent. She had what they called, like Manhattan during a heat wave. Like, you hear my accent, I don't sound like this. But every time this lady who was reads one of Norma's quotes, she talks like this, like Norma. Wow, I wasn't going to do that. Norma didn't talk like that. Norma talked like me. So, that is the only problem I had with any of the audiobooks or anything like that. So anyway, that is the last Madam. Those are my thoughts. And you guys keep tuning in. I'm going to be posting these, talking about different things, talking about TV shows, movies, books. I'm going to try to shy away from politics if I can, but I'm going to talk about some of my philosophies too. So, thank you so much for tuning in. It was great. You made my first video blog is just as cool as can be. You guys have a good day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.